as your parents supported you, how important do you think that is for somebody to try their best to get the right people around them? Because obviously, growing up in some environments, they do got negativity in their family. They got a mom and a dad that's negative or abusive or something like
Totally.
that. So, how important do you think it is for them to get proper people around them, whether they need to join a group at school or whether they need to, and how do you think that positivity of a group will affect them better?
I love that. So as much as my family supported me in my, weird passions that I had, they didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't go home and express like what I felt from this song or what this artist was saying or how cool this melody was or, any of that stuff. And so I really needed to rely into like building my friend group. And through music, like by going to these shows, I remember the first time I went to my first like punk show that I saw. It was in our rec center, and they like turned the basketball gym. They just literally put a carpet out and let the band set up there, and it was like a festival. So all day long, these little punk bands could play like 20-minute sets. And I remember watching all these kids that were like push moshing and like doing hardcore maneuvers or whatever. And I'm like young, I'm like 7th grade, watching these high school kids like punching, but not really hitting each other, but it was like this allowed form of dance and like to this heavy metal music. And I was just like, man, someday when I get my braces out, I'm gonna go in there. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do it when it's safe. And like I just remember like wanting to be a part of it. And I saw this kid who was out there that was my age with these dudes that were full grown. He had like red hair, this jean jacket. And I remember like kind of making fun of him because I thought it was this girl. I thought he was a girl because he just looked very like a girl. And I was like, man, look, there's a chick out there, bro. And she's like hitting people. I'm like, what? I've never been exposed to this stuff. So I'm like, this is crazy. And we like kind of made fun of the girl because we're like, I think she's trying to hit dudes. I don't remember why we made fun of her. Just because it seemed abnormal. Like, why is a girl punching? And then later I ended up meeting this dude and realizing that it was a guy. And then years later, he's one of my best friends to date, like one of my best friends in the world. And by having gone there, we end up meeting. You start forming relationships with these people, and they become like a resource to you. Like these are the people that understand you or what you're going through, or you can open up and have conversations. And all of a sudden, you have 6 of your people in that group that go to these shows all the time. And we would go there to hang out. We go to the skate park to hang out. You go skate, you'd be working on your craft, but most of it's just conversation. You're having all these conversations with these people that are going through similar things or haven't gone through things or they've experienced different things that you haven't experienced. You're sharing all these stories and it opens you up. Like it opens up your mind. It allows you to like learn. Having that was like the biggest key for me ever because it's not like I could come home and talk punk with my brother who's like an MVP baseball player, you know what I mean? Or talk to my mom about this stuff. Like I did talk to them about it, but it was kind of like, we love you. We don't know what you're talking about, but so by having this outlet was so key to me. Like being able to, I say music is my outlet, like we all listen to music, but at the time music meant more to me then than it does now, which is so strange because it's like now I'm in it, but I feel like it's way watered down and the passion behind music's not there. But I feel like people bonded over music at the time, and I think maybe kids still do, where I would literally live and breathe that stuff. Like I thought about it every day. It turned into an entire culture within my school for me and my friends. All of a sudden you're meeting people from other cities that are interested in the same thing as you. This is before the internet, obviously. I guess maybe that's why it's like watered down, is because it's just so easy to connect. But highly encourage that, like finding a community.
What's interesting is how that all correlates with Black with No Cream.
Right?
And did you notice how much you were always doing this? Kind of like it just correlated all the way up to Black with No Cream. And can you tell us about Black with No Cream and why you started it?
Yeah, so that's crazy to think about. Black with No Cream to me was like I had all these kids hit me up after my first tour. I toured with Schoolboy Q. We did like a world tour, and I was making these like web series episodes, so they were doing pretty well on the internet. And the way I was creating them was different than anyone really had before for like a run and gun scenario. And I had all these people praising my work or whatever and reaching out, and I started building up my little following. And I would get messages all the time, and people are just, how do you do this? How do you do that? What camera should I buy? How'd you get here? How? Every question you could ever think of, they asked. And I felt responsible to ask it because I'm from Iowa. I would ask the same questions at the same time, like text, emailing, write whatever I could to try to get some intel on what I was obsessed with. And so I felt like I had to, I need to answer these questions to help. Like I know I've been there. They are me. So randomly I came up with an idea like, yo, what if I put them all into like a group, and they can ask the same question, but I guarantee you they may ask me a question about a lens for a wedding business that they started, and I don't do weddings, but there's a guy in Tokyo that's a Black Rental Cream member who does weddings professionally, and he knows way more about the lenses specific to that than I do. So if you ask a question, I might not respond, but he or she may, you know? And so that was the goal, is like building a space for everyone to kind of come together and share their work, their ideas, pass along new intel, info, tricks, anything with the trade, and share opportunity, you know? And it was just a random idea. And just, you know what I mean? Like, let me just start this thing and see what happens. And then it started picking up speed and everyone wanted to be in it. And I made it like the way to get in it kind of difficult. So weaning out like the weak who didn't really have what it took to like care about their career and all that. So then I started a podcast, and then now we have a YouTube channel, and it's like all this stuff. But it's now turned into me trying to build like a proper education space for creators, because it's so important. It didn't exist. I didn't have money to go to college or film school. I wanted to, but it was like $100,000. You know what I mean? My parents were like, "We support you. We ain't paying for that, but you will be paying that forever. Like if you go do this, you'll have those loans for forever."